What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make the first ever escalator quilt. Let's get started. Before we dive right on into the cutting instructions, let me talk a little bit about the fabric. The quilt behind me and the quilt that I'll be doing in the video will be kits that you can grab down in the description below, but they are both jelly roll friendly projects, so this makes it really simple. The quilt behind me is the jelly roll by Moda called Catalina, and the quilt that I'll be making here in just 1 second will be using the jelly roll called Cultivating Kindness by Moda. Let's go into the cutting instructions. As you can see here, I got my jelly roll here. I've already gone ahead and opened it up, and I pulled out one of my prints here, which will be this plaid today. And as far as my solids go, I went ahead and got my yardage and cut it all down to 2.5 inch strips. Or you can grab a jelly roll of solids, it'll do the same thing. But this is what I've got in front of me. Now it's time to do the cutting. Now there's a little bit of math here, guys, so just hang in there with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, lay this down on my mat, and start my cutting, okay? Now for all of my solid, we will cut 8.25 inches first, then a 6.5, a 4.5, and a 2.5 inch piece, which I'll be doing right now. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I'm gonna square off my piece because I do have a salvage edge here. And I'm gonna cut 8.25 inches. First piece is 8.25, and I'm gonna just slide everything down. It will help the camera view a little bit here. So I've got 8.25. Now I'm gonna cut a 6.5. Continuing down to a 4.5. And lastly, I'm going to turn this around because I got that crease in my fabric. Gonna square up my other end too to make sure that's all nice and square. And we're going to cut a 2.5 inch piece. Now you still have this much left over to make another block, but for the video I'll just show you how to make one. Now for our print, pretty much the same, but the measurements are a little different, okay? So like I said, the math's a little bit different here, but our very first piece will be 8.25, just like the last one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 8.25 piece down here next to my 2.5 inch piece on the white. Now my next piece, this is where the math changes just a hair, okay guys? My next piece will be 6.25 instead of 6.5. And I'll do 4.25 right after that. Doing my 4.25 next. And just like last time I've got this folded in the fabric, I'll just flip it around and square off the edge again. And now the very last piece is just like the very last piece on the white, a 2.5 inch square. Just like so, and again, this is enough to make another block. So now that we've got our pieces cut down, it's time to sew them together. And we're going to treat it just like binding, and let me show you what I mean by that. We're going to lay our pieces down, our white pieces on top of our prints, as if they are binding. Just like when you do a binding on a quilt, exactly the same. Just like so. Now, you want to make sure that you sew all of your points the exact same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew from this corner here to this corner here, which when I turn it into my sewing machine, it'll be from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. Let me show you guys right now. And if you want to throw a mark on it, you're more than welcome to, but I find it easiest just to kind of go for it. Which, as you can see, when I turn the fabric, it will give me this angle right here. We want to make sure we have the exact same angle on all of our pieces. So I'm going to turn this again like so, and I'm going to sew it Right there's my little corner piece, so that's what I'm going to line everything up with. I'm going to sew at a corner to corner, and when I open it up, I will have the exact same angle as my last one. I'm going to keep sewing these all the way down. Now that I've got them sewn, you'll notice that all of my stitching is exactly the same. You can see how they all are the exact same stitch line, exact same angle. From here, it's time to cut off the excess that we have here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slide these aside. I'm just going to cut off this first one here. And I want this to unfold just like so. So I'm going to cut off 1/4 inch away from my seam line, the excess here. Which then gives me a nice and straight line here. Now I'm going to do that to all of my blocks. I'm going to pull them aside here. Which will give me my 4 strips as you see them here. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this over to the ironing board and iron these all out 100% flat, and we'll be right back. Now that we've gone ahead and ironed our pieces out, it's time to assemble the block. Now what you want to do is start off with your longest piece or your longest print piece and lay it down. Now your second longest, so on and so forth here. And now it's time to start sewing the block together. Again, starting with the longest piece, we're going to put them right sides together. And if you are a little bit off, it's pretty forgiving here, which makes this a really easy project to make. As long as you keep everything straight as you're sewing, everything will come out just fine at the end. Right there's my first piece. I'm going to do it to the top pieces now. And now it's time to attach both rows together, like so. Once I got this sewn, I'm going to take it over to the ironing board and iron this super flat. Now on over to the ironing board to iron this out. So this is what the finished block will look like. It's a very simple block, but let me show you how we make a design just like this. It's very simple. They are just turned upside down every other one. So our first one's like this, our next one we turn upside down and sew it like this, so on and so forth down the pattern. I've already went ahead and made up my rows and finished up my quilt top, but let me show you what it looks like. And it's a big quilt with just one jelly roll and some white fabric. It will make an absolutely stunning quilt. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this quilt across the building to our in-house laundry to have this thing finished. As always guys, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. And let us know down in the comments below, which quilt do you like better? Do you like the more modern white with the bright colors, or more of this beigey kind of quilt? Let us know down in the description below. My name is Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.